We're solving a problem before it becomes a problem. Everyone knows in the future conflict when there's going to be a lot of autonomous systems, it won't scale if we've got humans attached to all of them, controlling all of them. We won't build 100 million JTACs, battle managers, strike cell, all the people, every operation center has hundreds of people in it. Like, this is the thinking thing that needs to also evolve. We need to revolutionize the science of war.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to another episode of DIB Innovators. Happy to have Phil Duong, CEO and co-founder of NODA AI today. You guys hit it first, but hot off the presses, NODA just won a $100 million Department of War award to scale mission command for autonomous forces across the DoD. So super excited to talk about that. But before NODA, Phil spent nearly 2 decades as a Marine Corps naval aviator and JTAC, still serving. Then took that experience to the Pentagon and now has created an awesome company. So Phil, welcome to the show. Happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First of all, thanks for serving. Pretty awesome. Talk to me a little bit about your journey from Marine Corps and then as a reservist, your opportunity to start getting into the civilian sector with technology and how that led to the idea of we need to do something with scaled mission command for autonomy.
Yeah, no, it's been a long journey, something that's been rich with highs and lows, and I've learned a lot about myself and along the journey, and constantly being overly critical of my leadership and my ability to kind of deliver something of value to the government, right? And so, like you said, started in the Marine Corps 2 decades ago, active duty aviator, about half my time in a cockpit, half my time on the ground as a JTAC, and transitioned off active duty, going to business school and graduate school in New York City. Got recruited out of business school by a company called C3 AI in the Bay Area, still pre-IPO at that point, and they really just wanted some help to scale their federal practice, right? So I spent 4 years there learning the trade of building and selling software solutions to the government, which is not for the lighthearted at all. Obviously, if you've ever built or sold anything to the government, and then really had a great opportunity to go into secondment and be the special assistant to the chief scientist of the Air Force. And for your viewers, if you're not familiar, it's the most senior science and technology seat in the Air Force and Space Force, right? And that was really the impetus. That's where I was really charged to think about what the future of battle management would be. And this is really at the onset of Ukraine, right? The Ukraine war actually hadn't kicked off yet. And so when that war kicked off, we were really consuming a lot of data and we were observing the war play out. And the chief scientist asked me to think about and pen a white paper on what the future of battle management would be, right? And so that's just really an institutional term that the Air Force and DoD really is around. How do you coordinate different capabilities together, right? I'm being oversimplistic, but that's the case. And I kind of juxtapose that now today with my reserve job, where I work in the strategy division of some notable operation centers. 613th, shout out to the viewers who out there know they're in Hickam, where I get very fortunate as a Marine reservist to sit in there, represent Marine equities, but more importantly, get to be behind the vault door and understand the sausage making of how to deliver ConOps, concept of operations, to the boss, with all the different various problem sets in the Indo-Pacific, from the depths of Taiwan to the Korea Peninsula and so on and so forth. So all those experiences kind of inform what we're doing here on the commercial side with NODA.
Very cool. Yeah, and that's, the idea of command and control. Command and control of large forces is hard enough just to think through. And then to do that with autonomy and be able to direct that a high level. How did you start breaking this apart? How did you break down that problem?
Yeah, and part of it was, this was many years ago, before orchestration, buzzword today in my space, was a popular word, right? When I was running around the Pentagon and after with a thesis around multilateral orchestration, I've since pivoted because that's a mouthful and it's overly technical, obviously. A lot of people just could not, and I wasn't doing a good job articulating or differentiating that thesis from command and control. I think, Dave, you and I both come from a generation where everything was C2, right? really our thesis around orchestration is just a different terminology. Now, orchestration is in the technical world, like it also invokes different definitions as well, right? If you're building AI agents, you need a multi-agent orchestrate your agents, right? So I think orchestration, orchestrator lives in different contexts. But if we apply it to this space, where we've learned to kind of just communicate it, our thesis and our concept and our vision is around fundamentally mission command, right? And so I know I'm throwing a lot of buzzwords now, but mission command is a known institution within the government and the military as a whole, right? It's fundamentally a leadership philosophy that empowers subordinate decision making, right, and decentralized execution. And so if you kind of use that as the context, what we're really trying to land as an orchestrator of autonomous systems is how do we enable and how are we complementary to all the other wonderful companies out here that are building phenomenal robots, swarming capabilities, AI pilots, platform autonomies. Like we are complementary. We're none of those things, frankly, right? They have their own C2 systems as a whole to answer your question, right? They have their own ground control stations. They may have large platforms that you can C2 a lot of drones on, right? We're actually none of those things. We're thinking about a functional layer above that, right? What we think about is how do we build a horizontal layer that kind of understands and represents historically what you and I would understand exists in a strike cell or an operations center, right? You have a lot of equities in those buildings that are experts in kinetic fires, non-kinetic fires, ISR, weather, all these different functions have to very quickly, dynamically understand what capabilities are available and their limitations, and how do we deploy them together to meet the desired end state, right? And so that in itself is a function that we don't see represented in the technology space at all right now. People are building the robots and how to basically command and control those robots, inclusive of swarms and all those other things, right? If that makes sense. And I'm happy to go deeper there, but I'll pause there.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fantastic because that's, and each operation cell or strike cell is also very different. And how good they are is very different. So the fact that you're looking at, I will caveat, I haven't been in the Pentagon for a while, but I think our latest military efforts have been coordinated very well, the last couple, CENTCOM missions. But yeah, that's a tough one. And so you're looking at more from that high level to give almost that commander intent, here's what we want for the mission, that kind of guidance. It'll know the capabilities that are included in that and then break down and parse out, here's the effect I want, here's how I want these 4 company things or, robots to people to coordinate and go.
Yeah, that's it. And like, I know we can overly complicate these things with different terminologies. There's no standard terminology, but you have a very qualified audience. It's this. I just don't see that function existing today in industry. Which at some point, someone's got to focus on that problem, which is whether you're at the tactical level or the operational level, the boss always wants a desired end state. Rarely does that person ever ask for specific capabilities, right? Like, hey, we need to go strike, we need to go suppress this thing, or we need to go destroy this Iranian nuclear silo. Go present me some COAs, right? And so that person's battle staff will go out. You've got kinetic solutions, non-kinetic solutions, you've got soft solutions, and the boss will pick out which one meets the desired end state, right? So that reasoning, that calculus problem, while incredibly manual today, I think needs to be expedited when the end state, like the end point of all these things are going to be robotic, right? And there's going to be to the nth degree amount of capabilities now that the calculus is going to be really hard for a group of humans to put all the combinations and permutations together to create. And oh, by the way, right? Like we call this in-house our software-defined effects engine, right? Everyone understands this software-defined radio. A radio is somewhat trivial hardware today, but you power it with a thinking software. You can do frequency hopping, you can do jamming, you can do all these cool bespoke things. And so for us, we think about the ends, the effect, and work backwards, right? Like how can we pair 6 Lucas drones with a section of F-18s, right? To meet the desired end state. And so, if I were to kind of summarize and kind of regroup this line of questioning, like orchestrators to us has really come down to 5 functions internally, right? We do intent projection, we do capability abstraction of the platforms, we do effects composition, right? That's the software defined effects. We're able to do adaptive recomposition. So, here's the algorithm that we've been developing with 6 Lucas drones to kill a boat. What if we get down to 4 because they're shot down, they are trite or someone like we have to be able to adaptively recomposite the plan, right? And then finally, autonomy continuity, which is how do we keep doing this in DDIL environments, right? So that's our core focus and competency. And that's in this context, man, like I'm grateful for the platform here to really describe it. Way different and independent folks building the robots, the platform autonomy for those robots, the swarming capabilities, the C2, all those things need to exist. What doesn't exist is how do we fight today when there's robots, right? And that's what we think about.
Yeah, and you're doing what we did, a couple of decades ago, but like almost bringing in that joint composition model instead of Air Force. We want B1s to go hit this. It's like, okay, how do we get that? And we've been making that movement, but man, you look at autonomy. I think that's what an amazing
Well, you've got to
vision.
go faster. You just got to go faster, right? It's like,
Well, yeah, and you're right. There are so many options. Because there are so many different capabilities that these new drones are bringing on, and the scale of them. You don't have the same scale for everybody. No, it's amazing.
and then in conflict, like on actual execution time, the landscape changes immediately. And it's no longer can you just tell a flight leader, a division of F-18, so here's a desired end state, like you guys will figure it out. We don't have that human reasoning and judgment on these robots. So you have to have a library of algorithms and effects that we can run and execute real time, right? Um, and so for us, that's the key differentiator for us, man. It's like today, if you want to raise a bunch of money and pivot into building an orchestrator, I think the integration into individual robots is table stakes now, like non-trivial. We spent a long time and millions of dollars building that. But for us, it's this reasoning and software-defined effects that no one's thinking about, right? Like, how do we actually put all these capabilities together to create an effect at the end of it, right? Kinetic and non-kinetic, right?
Freaking amazing. Talk to me about then. And congrats, your $100 million award. What did you win? What were you trying to win? And where do you see this going?
Yeah, I think this journey has been unique and wild. I mean, look, we've been around for less than 2 years, right? Like this is I'll give a shout out to, kind of the broader ecosystem and the administration willing to like really fund and give the new startup a shot here, right? Um, we were, I think, in retrospect, if you forced me to think about it and think about and try to write a postmortem, we had a thesis that was just early enough, right? Like you don't want to be too early, you don't want to be too late. And we're not there yet, by the way, right? Like I don't think we're there yet. We still need industry partners to build very capable effectors and sensors and componentry to make the future happen. But what we're actually doing is we're solving a problem before it becomes a problem, right? Like everyone knows in the future conflict when there's going to be a lot of autonomous systems or uncrewed systems, it won't scale if we've got humans attached to all of them, controlling all of them, right? Great quote up there. It was like, you know, I'll give some credit to another commercial company out there that recently said, I have trust and paraphrasing. I have trust and confidence that the U.S. government and its partners will build 10 million drones. I'm paraphrasing. We won't train 10 million pilots. Great point, man. I couldn't articulate that better. I would lead on to that as an analog to where our technology sits is we won't build 100 million JTACs, battle managers, strikes out, all the people, every operation has hundreds of people in it. Like this is the thinking thing that needs to also evolve, right? This institution of mission command and how we think about leveraging human judgment for the art of war, but we need to revolutionize the science of war, right? If that makes sense. And we have to disrupt that. And that's really what we're focusing on. And so this contract has been a great kind of for us internally. Yes, obviously money is great, but it's been a validation for a long thesis where it was a bad idea for a long time, People don't see that part, you know what I mean? Like, people always text me now and like, "Oh, what do you think about so-and-so raising, $100 million to be an orchestra?" I'm like, it kind of sucks at some point, but at some point I'm like, this is validation that like this thesis that was big many years ago when it was a bad idea is starting to get traction, right? At the end of the day, I'm a patriot and a Marine. Like we need this solution, whoever builds it, right? And so this $100 million is another kind of validation point. Another thesis is picking up, and that's really what my chief motivation is.
Yeah, and credit to early investors. One of them I had on the podcast who helped set us up. I'll let you talk to him, but if you're getting that kind of pushback, and knowing, Page, and you can talk about, but the way he looks at picking the founders and companies, picking the idea and then helping you come up with it.
Yeah.
Talking about that journey, working with what I think is a VC that has a thesis that is really strong and how to build, innovative, game-changing capabilities.
Yeah, man. Page is a one-on-one to me, right? Like, obviously, the seat I'm in, I interact with a lot of investors, and I don't know how much he shared with you on the podcast or off, but I've grown to know him more and more and appreciate him more and more after 2 years of working closely with him. But I think a lot of investors, because the economics make sense, the multiples make sense, say they want to be as early as possible, right? There's a science there. Very few people can align the thesis of investing with the actual signing of a check, right? Frankly, at early days. In early days, it's not a novel idea, but you're investing in the people, in the founder, and loosely the thesis. But like Paige will always say, um, the thesis will probably change. The product will change, right? Like, these things will always change if you're going to survive. It's like spending time with the individual, and like, do they have the je ne sais quoi to actually live through this entire journey that's incredibly, like you said, violent and volatile and not easy. And for me and him, this was a very forward idea, right? High risk, all these things. I share this kind of internally, but I'll share it publicly now because I do think he deserves his flowers. I took my share of rejections like most early founders. He asked me, okay, I'm in on this thesis. Come down and visit my family during Thanksgiving. Spend 3 days with me. I don't think I opened a PowerPoint slide once, Dave. And it was just 3 days of intimate getting to know you and what makes you tick and what your background is. Very little about the thesis, zero business model discussion, zero nothing. And on the way home, he said, "I'm gonna back you," right? And so I think he's like he's built like a proprietary framework of evaluating founders now. But he is one of the guys, to kind of summarize this, that is true to his word. He invests in the people, right? In the founder, in the team, and he'll dig around. And he's got a good spidey sense on who's going to make it and who's not, right? And he's done it over and over and over again, right? I think there's a lot of investors that eventually will just, early days is just too risky for them, and they need to see more, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think your point about investors, everyone says we invest in founders early stage.
Yeah, no, not everyone. But let me see your business model. Let me see your 3-year performer, right? And like, dude, come on, man. Like, I got nothing but a PowerPoint right now. Like, like, you know what I mean? In the early days, at least.
Yeah, I mean, performance matter, but like the initial seed, pre-seed, it's an idea backed with some good, supporting evidence,
That's right. That's right.
a journey, relationships to go, we can do it. And
We
so
can do
most
it.
people,
That's it.
well, I want to see I want to see your financials. Like, well,
I'll leave it everything anonymous because, look, I have a tremendous amount of respect for investors. That's a hard game. But I had an investor early days ask me for a data room. I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, it's like a data room. I don't have a data room. Like, I got a PowerPoint slide in a dream, man. That's what I got right now. But yeah, I hear you.
yeah. All right. Well, let's move on a little bit more. You describe current state of autonomy, I guess I'll go this direction, as being just folks being satisfied with tasks, crashing into a target. Do you think the Pentagon, I mean, obviously they awarded you this, are they really looking at this problem? Or is this kind of just, they know it's a step, they're throwing some money at it, it's a good chunk of money. Are they starting to pivot to make this a piece of warfare doctrine? Or are they just kind of, yeah, that's something we have to do, almost like investing in a air operations center or whatever. Like, yeah, we got to do it, but we're still worried about the effect of that individual, capability.
I think it's all be above. I hope so. I mean, this is to answer. You kind of bring back your previous question. Like, this award, hopefully, is a testimonial that this thesis has traction. Right? It is maybe not fully baked, but like this is the Pentagon saying we need this function. NODA, please go try to build it. And I'm obviously speaking out of turn here. I think the point where I'll highlight is difficult is you have other parts of the Pentagon that's funding also an orchestrator, but maybe a different definition, right? To us, Yes, these are all parts of the overall technology stack that need to exist. But if you're funding an orchestrator that takes voice to command so that you can fly a group of drones from point A to point B, to us, um, that is a necessary piece of technology, but that's not an effect, right? Like that's like, hey, group of drones, I need you to fly to this location. Great. That's almost a party trick, right? Like, of course. But this should an analog that both of us understand. Hopefully, the audience understands. Like, that's like 1,000 level codes for pilots to do. Eventually, you got to teach your pilots to fly tactics. You like understand terrain, understand all these different things, enemy systems, and then at the end of the day, when you get employed, it's deliver this effect on target. I don't care what your dive angles are. I don't care your ingress speed, whatever it is, right? I don't care about like I rely on the aircraft, like the aircraft as a capability and the pilot as the functional component of that capability, right? Like we don't have that yet in the autonomy space, right? We keep getting distracted by can you fly from point A to point B? Yes, that's table stakes. That needs to get happen. But like, who's building the effect, right? That is at the end of the day what we need. We need to be able to say, if you want me to kill a DDG or a Liuyang 3, I need to understand what its critical vulnerabilities are. Do we strike it in the rudder? Do we strike it in the hull? Do we strike it in the control tower? What is the desired effect on this thing? Okay, what do we have? Okay, we have 2 F-35s and 15 Lucas drones. Okay, I can do that, right? Like I have algorithms there. I understand where I have to strike it. I have to understand the sequencing, TOT, ingress angles, all these different things that you and I both know and part of your audience understands, right? Shout out to all the JTACs and battle managers. That's what we don't have in this space, right? And so I'm being repetitive here, but like this is a core issue that we see today with most theses that are a little bit too early, which is some parts of the Pentagon says, yes, we want an orchestrator. Then another organization says, yes, we want an orchestrator, and then repurpose it and fund it to do voice to text, voice to command, right? Um, it's all positive in my mind, but for us to answer your question, this award gives us focus. It gives us validation that what we were building, not voice to text, is a required function, right? Someone's got to think about this thing. And so we're really excited to be the one chosen to do that.
So awesome. Okay, for folks that are not steeped in, AI besides like an LLM, how do you, conceptually take, hey, here's the effect I want, taking human intent, commander intent, to an autonomous layer of capabilities to come up with an outcome? How does this, as it get put in the system, how are you kind of looking at, without getting too technical, but training your software to understand what this means? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I'll do my best to answer this, Dave.
Yeah, well, I know it's a tough one.
No, it's not a tough one. I would hope that I have the answer for it. It's, I always get this question and I try to find balance in the answer because, um, look, the space is incredibly popular. It's incredibly competitive. Certain founders have different philosophies of how much they share publicly. I will always bias towards maybe a little bit old school traditional stuff, but I don't like talking about what we do in too much fidelity and how we do it because at the end of the day, I ambition to build a validated deterrence model for national security. And in that sense, I don't want our adversaries knowing too much of how our approach is. Now, that being said, I want to honor the question, not be too dismissive, right? Um, so part of this world is we have to build a lot of determinism, which means there has to be auditable decision trees where a human can go back and be like, okay, NODA made this decision because ABC conditions were met, yada, yada, yada. The reality is this is not a novel idea. Really strong organizations like DARPA and so on have been thinking about this problem for 20 years with different named programs. What was missing at the time was really mature AI. And AI as a piece of this entire solution, it's not the entire solution. It's a piece gives us non-deterministic solutioning that needs to happen because in conflict, like there's just natural stochasticity in the world, whether it's man-made or otherwise. You take off flying and all of a sudden you get a chiplet and you got to go home. Sorry, man. Like, we needed 5 aircraft and they're down to 3, right? Who's going to solution this? That's what we're talking about. So you do need AI to handle a lot of non-deterministic kind of randomness in the world where we have deterministic, like logic-based, condition-based decisions of like, this is how we're going to execute this mission. This is what we need. But right of go, we need AI agents that are trained in certain functions in this, in your strike cell. Well, I'll just leave it at that. That can say, okay, we launched this plan with 4 aircraft. We're down to 2. Where are experts, right? Who are expert agents here that can help us quickly compare options and capabilities to now retask the ones that we do have, right? If that makes sense. And the current state of today is you launch a drone, and if things go bad, it's almost just a return home command, which is fine. But you and I both know, like, sometimes you got to execute the mission. You got to figure out real time when you can't phone home to the duty officer or whatever it is and figure it out with whatever aircraft you do have, right? So, I'm really enjoying this analog, by the way. Like, I don't usually get to use too much aircraft metaphors anymore, but it holds, right? And so that's what we're thinking about. We're training AI agents to help us do the thinking and dynamic processing of real time events, but everything else is very deterministic in saying building algorithms with different vendor partners. We've built the largest vendor ecosystem today, 40 unique platforms from subsea up to space. And we get with them, we ingest their capabilities, we learn their limitations, we start to build algorithms and plays with each other, and we hang those up in the library so that when we go downrange and we've got 4 assets and we've got to go kill a boat or we got to go kill a bunker, we know what we can do with those assets. It's like a good JTAC or battle manager. It's like a JTAC. I don't, F-35, F-15 checks in. I already know their capabilities and limitations. They give me a dynamic check-in, their playtime, their ordnance, and I have to very quickly come up with a game plan, right? Well, what is that in the machine form? It means we have a nice long library of game plans that we have already used and baked, right? Communicate that through, and then I take a step back, and you guys do what you guys do great.
It's interesting. Yeah. Like the supreme layer is the JTAC, the fighter pilot in you, or aviator in you is more just a dumb drone, good A to B.
Well, I said dumb. I mean, like, I will communicate a game plan in a 9-line to a section or a flight. I don't need to get in their cockpit or their flight. I trust that they know their tactics and how to employ their weapon systems, right? That's a great metaphor and analogy for the robot world. Like, vendor A is going to build a swarming capability. I'm going to tell you to do something, and they're going to do what they do best, right?
Yep. Go swarm it. Do what you do what you
Yeah,
do.
do whatever you got to do, right? Just yeah, exactly. And I'm going to observe the end state, and if we have to do a reattack or we have to redo retasking, then we'll do that, right? Just like you get bad flight crew all the time.
Let's pivot a little bit now towards kind of your experience, leading this. It hasn't been around for long. 2024, I guess, startup.
Yeah.
We started, not a founder before. I don't, with in a company, your co-founder, JTAC as well, right, Dave?
That's right. Yeah.
So cool, aligned background, obviously great trust. 2 years, 100 million plus in contracts, and just a really cool company doing some cool things. Talk to me about, for you, first time founder, that journey from both the military background and you had civilian, cool company background to get a lot of learning. I imagine there was a ton there for a startup. Talk to me a little bit about that journey and just some of the lessons learned, where some of your experience, JTAC leadership or aviation leadership, rolled over. I think it's a really interesting story of folks to make that transition to very quickly scale it. I mean, this is 2 years. That's quick. Like, talk to me just that journey and things that just resonate with you and you take a step back and think about what that's been like.
I appreciate this question, man. This is actually my daily journey. I don't propose that I've solved this at all. I think military leadership is not commercial leadership. I think it's way different. Obviously, having military leadership gives you a starting point, but you alluded to it. It's relevant as of 12 hours ago, right? It's tough to scale this fast, right? You're going to implicitly ask your teammates to do things that they don't have to do, but how do you build a championship caliber culture where people are motivated to solve this problem, right? Some people are motivated financially, some people are motivated by mission, some people are motivated by, invention and creation. For them, I don't want to oversimplify it because I have a tremendous respect for military leadership, obviously, but to some degree, when you go to the military, obviously everyone comes from a different background, but everyone's there for the same reason, right? For the most part, right? And so my 2 decades of military leadership has given me a strong foundation, but it's a daily journey with humility, man. Truly, truly, on the commercial side is is adapting to the people who join the company and join the team, and what I can do to help support them do kind of the impossible, right? Like, I can't tell you how many rejections, both from the government and from investors, that say incumbent A will do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about it. Incumbent A will do this. Or Prime will do this, right? That's a tough sled to pull and a wall to break down, but it's a challenge, man. I don't know that I have a good answer, but I can answer your question now. My military experience gave me something in the air, like aircraft leadership. Squadron leadership is way different than ground leadership. I'm grateful that I spent a better part of a decade on the ground now. And then my experience at C3, building in a rapidly competitive environment, building a federal practice there alongside some very capable, I have a tremendous amount of respect of the executive staff there. Learning how to be a tech executive is, that was a trial by fire in itself, right? So putting all these things together hopefully makes me a more effective founder and CEO at this company, but I haven't solved it yet, man. Like, I'm still learning every day. So I appreciate the question, but like, I don't have the answer for you. We're burning hot over here, you know.
Key thing you said that I really appreciate, the humility behind it, because people respond to humility.
Yeah.
And, but you're obviously very credible and have an amazing background.
Well, I try to tell it to my staff regularly is we're doing really remarkable things, like well behind the eight ball in all these things. But don't let the purple stain you. I mean, we get podcasts now, we get interviews now, and I think it's important for us to know that like we're at the beginning of this journey and we haven't figured anything out yet, right? And so, yeah, I'm figuring that out as I go. We're in theater. There's a shooting war. We're getting traction all over the world now, and you gotta stay grounded and understand. And our team's growing. Team's multiplying every week, and it's like you gotta lead different people different ways, and every time we get another 50 employees, you gotta change your leadership style a little bit to communicate effectively.
No, it's amazing. And obviously, like I said, I think humility is one of those, you gotta be capable, you gotta have the skill set, but it matters when you're scaling like that, because you're not gonna get everything right. And no one is ever.
And we're burning hot, man. We're burning really hot. Like it's like everyone's sacrificing, being away from their family, running high RPMs. It's just really tough. It's really tough to keep people motivated in a competitive environment.
Yeah, I think your mission though I mean, that does have to play. And what I've seen is if you have a mission first company, you're delivering something to the warfighter that really will matter. That doesn't resonate with everyone, but if it doesn't resonate with them, they may not be in the right spot.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
We have a similar type of mission driven, which there are great people out there, engineers, whatever, but if they don't see the same vision and mission, probably not a great fit, no matter how good they are.
It's hard to recruit for. I look when we do interviews. I look for self-awareness, self-criticism, self-correction, and then finally that mission, because it's like people are gonna work really, really hard here, right? We have very ambitious goals. It's a highly competitive market, and if you don't have something else that motivates you besides the financial upside or whatever it is, you're gonna burn out. You're not gonna make it, man. So I think for us, it's mission. I've been very pleasantly surprised. I mean, no matter what you say about this new generation, like I thought they're all kind of something, and then I look around the room, and these are mission-driven patriots that want to solve this problem, and that's been really encouraging for me.
Yeah, I love it. Can you tell me an example of an exercise or a proving ground of just how your platform worked and responded and kind of the cool things that you saw come out of it where like, this is going the right way. Let's go.
Man, I got a lot of those. I think one of the it happens because we were actually one of the few people, and again, we've been building. Maybe this is some of my own personal values bleeding into the company. Is we haven't talked like this. This is probably like the second podcast I think I've done ever, right? And there's nothing against you. I just don't like doing them. I don't like talking about what we do. I don't like talking about myself. And we've been building really quietly for a long time, right? We've been assessed and selected over some of the largest incumbents right now in the space to be this orchestrator function. No one said anything. But I would tell you in that selection event, like all things, uh, we we had underwater drones, we had surface USVs, We had UAVs from all different vendors, and we're orchestrating all these different things. And this is early days, man. This is like 2 years ago almost. This is early days. All different vendors. We're like this brand new software player, like, oh, we're gonna build this orchestrator. It's dynamic, it can retask, it can handle contingencies, all these different things. And we saw it in like testing, internal testing, but like not live with all these new vendors with a government assessor there. And we go to launch this multi-domain campaign um, off the coast of California. And right off the bat, our ISR platform gets a hit a gust of wind and goes right into the ocean. I'm like, oh boy. Oh gosh, man. Oh gosh. And then boom, the platform takes over and starts retasking the other drones. Like I had a panic attack. I was like starting to tap dance and trying to figure out how to like message this thing. And the platform started to retask the other assets that we had to like fall in on that mission. And that's when I knew I was like, oh crap, we might have something for real. Right. Um, that's probably the one that sucked because that's probably the early days. Ever since then, it's been just kind of like like little micro wins all over the place. The other one is I'll share this one in confidence. The big ticket item here is, can you do all this stuff in disconnected environments? I think there's a lot of people who say they can do a lot of things, and um, but for us, I'll just speak about us. Okay. We've been testing some very novel behaviors and algorithms using multi-vendor platforms on our own internal test range, and then we launched them all a couple while back. And we just basically cut the cord, no comms at all, right? And watching these things start to reform on each other and can proceed and solve the problem uh, was a very big aha, because I don't get to be in the field anymore, man. I'm like doing these things, right? And like being out and connecting with the engineering team, and then being, hey, man, like you gotta check this thing out. Seeing it in real life was like Christmas morning. I was like, this is all in theory up until now, but seeing a bunch of drones get completely disconnected, so zero comms, start to do, disconnected behavior and logic and handle emergent behaviors is the trophy right now. If you can do that, um, it gets scary good very quickly, right? More to follow on that, but everyone writes about it. I haven't seen it yet personally, and seeing that on our proving grounds that's like holy holy guacamole, man. I think we got something.
Touche, brother. I love it. Man, we could keep going for a while. I'm gonna do a quick lightning round and we'll wrap it up. So just quick kind of high level questions. But biggest misconception about selling to the DoW.
That a good product wins. I think your audience will probably understand that, but it's very the best product that wins. You have to be able to navigate what I call the triad: the warfighter, the Pentagon, and the Capitol Hill. Who can navigate that thing and land a thesis, irrespective of which one is better, is the one that's going to win.
Let me ask you then just a quick follow up. Did you bring in engage in like an LL level employee or group for legislative liaison, kind of your lobbyist, if you will, to work on that? Was that an early bring in? Have you brought in one?
We work with government relationship firms now, but early days. I think if you go back to my founding story, when you don't have any money, like going back to probably one of Paige's scoring cards is, does this person have the relationships around that triad that can win early, right? I'm speaking for him, but I will tell you that that's what got us started so quickly is, again, I'd built and sold software to the government before and scaled it to system of record. Like that is a non-trivial, irrespective of what the product is. You can invent the time machine. Like you got to be able to navigate that part, right? And being able to do that myself without any external parties was incredibly helpful in acceleration.
Yeah, that's good. Well, the reason I ask is because can't remember if Paige said this. I'm sure the capability was there, but for those that want to sell to the government, you got to have that skill set on your team very quickly. Whether it's you or you got to hire it, but that is critical to the triad that you talked about. Not many people think about that. They think about their widget, their capability. Love it. Hardest lesson you've learned building a defense company?
Leadership. If you get to a good point in the growth curve, if you're part of the growth curve of a company that's founding and then growing, you'll find a nondescript inflection point where you have to prioritize the growth of the company over, like, organizationally, right? Processes, culture, all these different things over revenue and delivery, right? And that's a non-trivial point there, right? That's a conflict because at some point you're going to keep asking all your best players to do everything, right? Um, and that's the hardest lesson to learn because as us, type A, you're probably naturally selected to be a founder. You just want to keep the gas pedal forward and you don't want to ever look back and say, we gotta build a better efficiencies and all these things. Like just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep doing the same things you're doing. And at some point you have to pause and say, I need to make the house in better order.
Number one piece of advice you'd give someone starting in a defense tech company today.
I don't promise you a rose garden, man. It's not for the faint of heart. I would my number one thing is find a chief motivation that isn't tied to dollar signs. It's just very, very difficult and you gotta be motivated by something else. Because you will break. You'll make wrong decisions. You'll make selfish decisions. All those things pan out. Human beings are the best sensors in the world, man. You know what I mean? Whether it's the customers or your teammates, they'll know. And for us, I think I'm continued to earn the trust of the customer and the team. But like that's everyday work of saying, this isn't about me. This my chief motivation is solving this problem.
Name a sacred cow in defense tech you think would be proven false.
This is starting getting traction, by the way, but I think it was maybe controversial early. I think hardware will not be king soon. I think software will be king. So, and I know it's a lightning round, but I will defend that.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's just figure it out because I think it is an interesting.
Well, for so long, I mean, the entire acquisition organization is really formulated to buy hardware, right? Software is getting more and more capable. People just don't recognize it. I mean, they adopt AI and all these things on their personal life, but they don't really recognize the massive value they bring to this problem set. And so I'll keep it constrained to my world. I don't want to speak for other subject matters because there's SMEs that know way more about me. But in terms of autonomy, let's just go down the x-axis, right? Like of time. At some point, I think the hardware will be commodities. There'll be no different. Like said differently, the difference between our boats and our adversaries' boats will probably be marginal at best. What's gonna be different is which software can make decisions fastest and most effective and create novel ideas. So this is my world, right? I think that's going to be the next greatest deterrence after the nuclear and hypersonics, right? Like, and I'll draw a nice historical analog. Your audience is probably going to slaughter me for this because I'm not a historian at all. But in World War II, we did have inferior hardware. We had inferior tanks, maybe submarines, other things. We won because we had Patton, MacArthur, Eisenhower. We had people that could think faster and deploy the capabilities that they did have strategically and tactically, operationally in an optimal way to outmaneuver our superior hardware and decision makers. What's just transpose that, right? I think if software is going to be the decision enabler, human judgment will always be king, but the hardware is less important. Let me just highlight this one more thing, right? There is very rich research coming out of Ukraine, live data between DARPA and our friends at Hudson. I just got with them the other day. Overwhelming data proves optionality and adaptation beats firepower every time. What does that mean? That means, especially in, let's say, Indo-Pacific, we're the away team. When we show up, our adversary will have more manufacturing capability and more firepower. But if we can come up with more options and adapt to the scenario, with the capabilities that we do have there, faster than them and better than them, we will win. Right? These are reinforcing points of software will be king.
I love it. Great following. Last one, and you may be biased, but I try to open up your lens. What do you think is the biggest opportunity in defense right now?
Right now, if I say right now, it's manufacturing capacity throughput for sure. We still have to fix that, man. Like that's a real problem. And I know that might be a little contradictory to what I just previously said about hardware, but we have to solve that. We have to solve that.
Mouse, that is a problem for sure. All right. Well, Phil, this has been a hoot. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. If folks want to follow you as you start coming a little more and more vocal about what you're doing, or just because they want to come work for a rock star leadership team and company, how would they best follow you?
NODAintelligence.ai is our website. You'll find our links to our X account and our LinkedIn account. We are just, again, company adopting my personality. We are growing our X account. If you guys can help us grow that, and we're finally conceding and saying, okay, we've got to build this presence. So please help us grow there. We've got a big LinkedIn account following as well, and yeah, come join us. We're hiring.
That's awesome. Well, I'll definitely be checking you out on X and following on LinkedIn. But appreciate it. I look forward to getting together next time I'm down in Austin.
Yes,
Get
sir.
your beer if you can break away from your team for a little bit. But really appreciate you joining. And until next time.
Thanks for having me.